point in life right now. I have been fighting poverty by living it, to understand it, the depths, so we can actually make some room to grow, and that I was coming out of as lockdown happened. Today I stand here officially as the first day where I have lost everything! I mean everything. I am going to a static address. I have just lost someone I love dearly because our relationship never had a chance. This is what's really going on in life. And so I say that very fundamentally to the powers that be. Tory, Ford, Trudeau, you know exactly who I am. You're ignoring me relentlessly for a year. I have nothing left to lose. Nothing you can take from me, and everything to gain from you. So I'm popping back up. You know my routine. I'll be on the street starting next week for 2 weeks. So we're gonna turn this worldwide rally into the biggest march Toronto has ever seen! Obviously, other than the Raptors, because sports matter more. But anyways, I'm going to keep it moving forward. I got a lot going in my head, and I'm just going to keep spurballing. Lucia, can you start us off?
Good afternoon, fellow Canadians and Patriots. Thank you so much for being here. I've been coming here since the beginning. And I come here for my own personal sanity because it's great to see people who care and who are ready to be arrested in order to stand up for what they believe. My name is Lucia Almeida, and I am many people who have my poor father has been engaged for a year. I have not been able to see him for a year. How is that mental health?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for being beside me.
My little sister is vaccine injured. She was injured in 1974. So I kept up on that debate for many, many, many years. And those of us who have saw this coming. Vaccines has been sold to the public for decades as the mythological science that saved humanity, when really it was just about clean water and plumbing. Vaccines have always had a horrible history of safety. Most people don't know that they were given freedom from liability in 1986. So even though we do not want this new normal that they are shoving down our throats, the old normal was not so great either, because for decades they've been normalizing horrible side effects. And if you're paying attention, it is happening right now with over 8,000 deaths reported in the EU, over 3,400 deaths reported in the US, 1/3 of those within 48 hours of the vaccine. In the 1970s they tried to do this. They tried to make their billions with a pharmaceutical product. After 29 reported deaths, it was recalled. What is the difference? The difference is the media is bought. Not only the media, but the FDA, the CDC. Most people don't realize the CDC is a private establishment that makes over $5 billion a year on distributing vaccines and has the most horrendous, profound, racist history of corruption, i.e. the Tuscany experiments. I am probably preaching to the choir here, but really I'm addressing our police who hopefully care about their oath and need to listen to the stories of Torontonians. My poor mother, my poor 85-year-old mother had to deal with the CAMH going into her bank account and having my clinically insane father, who has advanced dementia, sign cashier's checks for $66,000. And her bank, who she's been banking with for 45 years, those banks, we know that they have a finger in everything as well, didn't even have the decency to let her know, and her electric bill started bouncing and everything else, and that's how she had to find out. She had to go to the bank and investigate. Now, luckily, her accountant, who's lived in the area, saw this before. So he advised her that as soon as my father went in there, he's been in there for 2 years, to get power of attorney. And she was able to prove she had power of attorney, and they returned all of it except for $2,000. Cost her $500 to prove it. So what I'm saying is the corruption runs deep, and it's normalized. You know, and it's called conspiracy theory when it's conspiracy fact. So I was inspired to I called the police this week because I'm also a musician and an artist, and all of my shows, I had the privilege of being a working artist that could do it anonymously. For an artist to be able to do that is a complete privilege. But all my shows have been canceled, and I got a ticket for rehearsing with 10 of my professional colleagues. And so I called the police to ask their advice, and I happened to tell them that story about my mother and what she went through. And they instructed me to make a report, and they were very kind and helpful. So I'm hoping that as this thing gets worse, our police stay on the people's side. And good things are happening. And it's so easy to get scared and unhappy and depressed. But you know what? This is where I live. Every religion, all indigenous cultures, even the stars talk about this time as being a huge transformation for humanity. Unfortunately, many are going to perish. But those of us who see the light and are not afraid to stand up will see a day when this is over. I see a day when the UN will come down, and the corrupt WHO, I see that day within, you know, it may take a few years, but it's going to happen. And that's where I love. So my advice to you is don't give in to the fear. Do not give in to the fear, and keep talking to people. They don't want us together talking to each other. And thank you so much for being here. And I want to, last week somebody said the Our Father prayer. I'm not a religious person, but I do believe in the oneness of all humanity. And there have been certain parts of humanity that have been suppressed. And one of them is that feminine power, which can also get warped, right? Which is what we see now with our warped matriarch of a nanny state telling us that we have to stay home for our own good. But there was a prayer that was never taught, and it's the Our Mother prayer. The Our Father prayer is a prayer that's said by millions of people all over the world, billions of people. And the same Jewish sect that wrote that prayer wrote this prayer, and it was left out of our history. And I think if it hadn't been left out, it would have been a different world. And it speaks to the fact that all of life is inherently sacred and divine. Yeah. Our bodies are sacred and divine. This earth is an expression of God. The fact that it can feed us and nourish us. And what pharmaceutical companies have been doing for years, and the elite have been doing for years, is disrespecting Mother Nature. You can see it in the way they treat medicine, right? For example, marijuana. They demonized marijuana for years, and then they copied her and made an inferior version. You know, if you think about it, it's actually quite gross that they would make any plant illegal, but that's the same paradigm that's creating this. And so the Our Mother prayer goes like this. Our Mother, who art on earth, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done to us as is done to thee. As thou sendest every day thy angels of water, air, and light, send them to our bodies also. And lead us not into sickness, but deliver us from evil. Because thine is the earth, the body, and the health. Thank you.